Hi everyone, and welcome to the Spotlight featuring Majungasaurus by LapisLazuli's. I do believe this is Lapis's first mod in ASA, with plenty more planned to come in the future, and one I'd also like to thank for giving me early access so I could try and help beta test it with. So, Majungasaurus is a early/mid-game tame, and it looks just like a Carno, but much better looking. And from what I can tell in the center, it's supposed to spawn basically anywhere within this main general island. So again, I think overall, for a lot of the settings, a lot of the ratings, you can expect it to be like Carno. So regular kibble, carnivorous of course, Carno-based timers, so and so on. Something nice and familiar, but with new utility. Oh, I think, yep, there is, oh, it's 145, wow, right then. Oh, and that is an Evo Rector right behind it, oh goodness. This is a bit of a dangerous location, but there is the Majunga, very, very focused on that baby Triceratops. So, the thing about these guys is that their general temperament is a little bit unpredictable. They typically are slow, lumbering creatures kind of minding their own business, and they will only aggro to creatures really close by to it. However, they are bloodthirsty, and if they catch a smell of something on low health or a corpse, they will go after and attack it. Wow, that is just bullying. Okay, you know what? You came to me for help. I'll go ahead and kill this for you. In fact, with the Majunga now go attack the Rex now that it's on low HP. Hold on. It should, in theory. Then again, though, I suppose the Rex is a much larger weight class. Maybe not in that case. Or actually, it's corpse that gets attention. But yes, as I was going to say. So here it is. Oh, I got a bit too close there. I do want to see what this guy's like in combat. Like, will I need to worry about you? Since if we quickly check the saddle, it is a level 55 compared to Carno, which is 46. And yes, I am tanking the damage by now, I'm very well aware. Oh, it's actually slightly higher than the Filer. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that I would survive a bit of damage, but like I said, these guys are typically a bit slow lumbering. They, in fact, it's just de-aggroed here. They kind of just want to mind their own business unless they sense a corpse or something, you know, something low health. Including players, by the way. Now, I actually need to kill this. So it's a little bit unfortunate I'm killing a 145, but it is the center after all. And when killing the wild Majunga, it actually does do a little fair bit of damage. It's got a decent hit, actually. There we go. As you just noticed, when you harvest a corpse of Majunga, you get Parasitic Saliva. Not normally this much. My harvesting rates are busted. There's something very wrong with them. But you do get some Parasitic Saliva. Saliva harvested from a Majungasaurus, and it has remarkable tracking capabilities. This has two uses. So we know the Majungasaurus saddle is unlockable level 55. If we check at 55, we also have the tracking dart. A dart full of refined Majungasaurus saliva. Inject on a target to track nearby wild creatures. For use in a long neck rifle, cannot be used with attachments. We'll get into more of that in a minute, but that is just one use of the saliva, which requires 2 per dart. The other use is I must consume the saliva. Yeah, not nice. I must consume it, or more like I think coat the player in it. And that will really gain the attention of nearby Majungas. In fact, oh, I just found another one. Hey, there you go. Good location for them. 140. How about that? I'll go away. Bloody Meganura. Okay, so perfect. 140 Majunga. So as you can see, it doesn't really care about me right now. These are a standard-ish knockout tame, with one little gateway being to coat myself in a saliva. Reason being is that these guys, due to their generally necrotic diet, they're quite immune to narcotic effects. Well, not immune, they have like a resistance against narcotic effects. So I could try to trank it out, but it'll be significantly reduced. However, once I then, you know, cover myself in the saliva, it should now get its attention. Oh, yeah, there it goes. So now it should be able to take full trank damage. Let's have a little looky look. Yep, 26 good. Oh, you know what? I probably should have got myself a better quality long neck for this. It does actually have a lot of torpor considering. But yeah, no, so, like I said, you've got to use the saliva to deal full torpor damage. And I just realised my father's on low HP. What the hell? It's only on half. So I think what I'm going to do... Oh, bugger, I may have made it... Oh, I've made a mistake. Okay, you know what? We're just going to sit back and tank it. And see how long I can last for. Okay, you know what? This is not a smart idea, so let me just dismount for a second, hit follow, run away. I can just about barely outrun it. Well, barely being the key word here. Okay, let's get up on that rock. Oh, probably should have made a trap for this, shouldn't I? They are deceptively strong. I would definitely recommend trapping it, because for the amount of torpor you have to take out, you'd be tanking it for a long time. Okay, you know what's funny? I've dealt with so many, like, big giant Apex Dynamods lately that when I saw the Majunga was a bit more Kano tier, I really expect it to be quick and easy. I'm happy to say that it is not a wimp. The purpose of this creature isn't necessarily to deal damage, but hey, it sure can do anyway. But hey, one thing I want to demonstrate is that now that the saliva has ran out, if I were to try shooting it now, as you can see, it only took 2 damage, so significantly less torpor. Hence, you know, the whole really needing saliva. So now if I go ahead and re-equip it, I'll be back to doing, yep, there you go, regular damage. In fact, one thing I'm noticing that's very interesting is that it keeps on trying to flee, and then it keeps on trying to come back. That could just be absolutely pure RNG, but due to the whole, you know, forced aggro thing, yeah, it is periodically, well, no, that could have been random. It could just be absolute coincidental flying. Imagine that. But it does feel like that it was really tethering back and keep on trying to come back to me due to the whole forced aggro, which, gotta say, convenient. Probably not intended, but convenient. In any case, our Majungasaurus is down, and I really would recommend actually having a real long neck rifle because that was kind of dumb. So, these guys take superior kibble. I have regular because it was originally going to be the same as Kano, but no, Lapis has made it superior instead, whereas Kano is regular. So, superior kibble plus regular carnivore tame. So, you know, prime, mutton, etc. And let us see how long this takes to tame. Oh, there we go. That was about 3.5 minutes for 30% taming from 1 bit of kibble. And I'm pretty sure I'm on times on taming. And my harvesting's messed up, but I think my taming's correct. So either way, 30%, that is a good chunk of progress from 1 singular kibble. So this should take about, I'd say, 10 slightly more minutes. Not bad, not bad. Right, and there we go. And can I just say, the Majunga has a surprisingly clean bite sound, or like eating sound. I know that's really random, but it does sound like just really satisfying, very crunchy. Right, anyway, here is our tamed Majunga, and I'm just, because you're nearly dead, I'm just gonna, it's fine, I'll get a new one. Right, so, Majunga. Oh, first things first, as you can see, Argentavis Scavenging Healing, which I gotta say I quite like. It's nice to see more creatures with this. I don't think every creature should have this, but it's nice to see it every now and then. And in this case it makes sense, because it is an opportunistic scavenger after all. So, let's get into the sunlight, where it's nice and bright, and let's have a quick little look at you then. Look at your abilities, your animations, your overall model, which I have to say I really like. It's got a bit of a softer face, especially compared to the Kano. It almost looks a bit lovable in a sense. So, here is the left click attack. I really do like the sounds. I think, yeah, the sounds are fantastic. The right click is a double hit melee that applies an infested debuff onto the target. Have another look at that, awesome. C will play a little animation as it changes stances. We'll get into that in just a moment. And control is the roar. Oh, that is awesome. That is a wicked roar. Sounds and looks powerful. I love all the hissing in it. In addition to spacebar being the, you know, turn on place. So currently turn on place has just been disabled. If I hit spacebar again, it is now re-enabled. And as we're all here having a good look at things, also just want to point out, you know, just a bit of like the creature itself. I really love the markings. I really do love the stripes and the little bits of, it feels like it's got 3 colours there, like a bit of a border around the stripes. And the saddle was made by yours truly, with Loki texturing it. So Lapis's concept, my modelling and high poly detail, Loki's colours and textures and materials. And she's done a really good job on the metal. Oh, I just love the way that she does metal. It's all come together quite nicely. I did the cloth and the little patterns there with Lapis's direction. Yeah, things come together looking really, really nice. Okay, so it turns out all of my footage was muted, so let's try all of this again. So let's talk a bit about that infested debuff. Whenever you do right click, the right click does the same amount of damage as the regular left click, but it'll apply an infested debuff. In combat stance, this doesn't really do or mean anything, but when you enable C for the tracking stance, as you can see from my examples from my muted commentary in the previous clip, all of these creatures have performed the right click attack and it has left an infested debuff onto them. And this has no maximum distance, so this will be, you know, prevalent across the entire map. It has a 1 hour duration, and you can only have up to 5 of these maximum at a time. But when you try to apply a new one to a new creature, it'll overwrite the oldest one. So that way you can always add more if you need to. In addition to either killing the target, or getting rid of the tracking of course, or return back to combat stance, and they'll all be hidden. Still exist, but hidden. Now, there is some good news and some bad news in regards to the tracking. The bad news is that in single player, I don't know the exact technical terms or the, you know, restrictions, but due to single player like hibernation, rendering, all that kind of stuff, the tracking doesn't really work as intended, so unfortunately do bear that in mind. So it is more of a server multiplayer thing. However, with it being a server multiplayer thing, the good news is that this has great potential in PvP, because these debuffs, not only can they be applied to enemy creatures and players, but the debuff is invisible and it lasts for an hour. So what you can do, you can tag somebody's tame and the infested debuff will last for an hour, and you can just wait for them to go back to their base or whatever, scout them out, and then plan ahead accordingly. In addition to that, perhaps you don't want to melee the dino because, you know, that could be a bit too suspicious or a bit too risky. So like we mentioned earlier, if you go to level 55 where you unlock the Majunga saddle, you also can unlock the tracking darts, and as the name implies, using this we can then shoot a random creature, and once I now remount my Majunga and enable tracking stance again, as you can see, it just tracked it. So that's always a possibility. Now, as much as I prefer PvE gameplay, I'm definitely much more into PvE, I love watching ARK PvP. And this is something I'd be really interested in seeing being utilised. I think that'd be really cool, like some potentially really sneaky plays, or, you know, people scouting out bases via this method. Be really, really interesting. Not to mention, of course, you can still use it, you know, for generally tracking wild creatures, especially with the ranged version. You know, say it's a big scary creature you want to keep an eye on later, just shoot it, run away, you'll be safe and sound. And you can always get back on the Majunga to find it again afterwards, or just keep a, you know, general eye on it. Now, an important thing to keep in mind is that the combat and tracking stances do actually change. Is that aggro? Oh, that's kind of scary. Yes, the the tracking and combat stances do actually change the way the Majunga performs. So when in tracking stance, it's got increased movement speed and reduced stamina consumption, but it deals 50% less damage. So this definitely is all about, you know, traveling and scouting. Whereas if we return back into the combat stance, we will now deal our regular maximum damage. Our movement speed will be a little bit slower, and we will have regular stamina consumption, but when you harvest from being in combat stance, you will get that regenerative healing effect. Also, if the Majunga is in proximity to low health targets, you can sniff out the blood. It will cause it to become bloodthirsty, as we saw just then. Low health Hyalodon enabled bloodthirsty. This is another movement speed thing, so you could just randomly proc this whenever you're out and about in the wild. Wild creatures are attacking each other, you run past a low health target, and you'll just randomly get bloodthirsty and you can run faster again. So it depends on which method you want. This is more nicer for combat or like for hunting. If you are just traveling, then you can afford to travel, you know, in scouting mode and have the permanent movement speed increase. You've got options, and options are always nice. One more thing about the combat mode, which I don't think I've really pointed out yet, is that your left click will do ramping higher damage, and the Majunga will do additional damage to low health targets up to a maximum of 50% damage. So it really does like, oh god, it really does like, you know, those low health targets to deal more and more damage with. In addition to, of course, bloodthirsty and healing. Okay, I think that's all the abilities, because like I said, I've already recorded this once and the commentary was missing. I think I've covered everything again. One more thing, one more really, really cool thing. This is something really stupid, and I truly adore this. We go ahead then and cheat SDF a Majungacorn. we have this special unit. I adore this. This is so dumb in the absolute best way possible. It's such a wonderfully silly idea, and I'd love to see more of these kind of things. It's a unicorn Majunga. It's so silly. So, you can obtain these in 2 different methods. One, they are a rare spawn, just like a unicorn. So, just anywhere out in the world where Majungas can normally spawn, and you have a very low chance that a wild Majungacorn may spawn. And the other method, just like in ARK, where whenever you're breeding your Evo-Rexes, you've got a 5% chance in your egg to get a Paleo-Rex instead. Just like with that method, same with the Majunga, you have a 1% chance in a Majunga egg for it to hatch a Majungacorn instead. They have no benefits, they are purely cosmetic, they are wonderful, and I adore this stupid thing. I really, really do. A couple of little minor visual differences is obviously the giant crooked horn, which I really love. It does have a bit of a bumpier texture along the ridge of the nose, which is quite a nice touch actually. In addition to, of course, the colour regions being very different. You know, it's got little socks, it's got the mittens, it's got the half of the tail is different coloration, along with the snout, and obviously, you know, it's white. I love this thing, it's so silly. I love looking for rare creatures. Like in any game I play, I love looking for rare things. So things like this is absolutely wonderful, and in an actual playthrough, you bet your ass I'm gonna try and get one of these. They are, like I said, 2 different variants. Stupid thunder! They are 2 different variants, so obviously they cannot breed together, and the Majungacorn, again, has no stat benefits or whatever, but it's just cool. I mean, look at it, I love it, but it behaves the exact same way. And otherwise, I do think that is everything covered. I really hope so, because again, I've done this twice now. So, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this. This is Lapis's first mod for ASA, and they do have plans for more, including one that will hopefully launch in time for Aberration, which I have to say, really, really excited for this one, as well as, you know, the Majunga. So keep an eye out for that, and as always, the mod ID will be in the bottom right hand corner, or the link in the video description down below. Thank you all so much for watching, hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you all again next time. Cheers!